top news story tonight begins with a very telling moment. You're going to see it right now as Republican Congresswoman's Iowa town hall boiled over with voter anger regarding health care costs that even led to heckling.
When the Affordable Care Act was passed, the reason why because lower cost, greater transparency. So
be a leader. Vote her out.
On the Affordable Care Act or the Unaffordable Care Act, there was no change.
What's your plan?
It's minimal number of people. It is.
How much are rates going to go up? How much?
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and Republicans lived by Donald the Dumb. Now they're going to die by Donald the Dumb. Because the same monster they fed, protected, and worshipped like a golden calf is now dragging their entire party straight into the ditch.
Advisors to President Trump are now acknowledging that they have an affordability problem. Polls do show Americans are blaming the president for how they feel about the economy, for their economic woes. Polls that the president just days ago called fake.
Grocery costs have gone up, just like utilities. Most blame Trump. I'm going to leave this up for a second. When you see the 59% blame Trump, by definition, that includes people who voted for Trump. They were hoping for better. They might have liked what he said last year, but they blame him here on planet Earth in reality land because he's done very little to bring down the prices. He doesn't even hold events or talk about it, let alone do anything about it. Here's where the public is in their own words.
I work 2 jobs right now, and I feel like I can't even afford, what I'm trying to pay for.
Look at the price I paid for this just a year ago.
Welcome to that just don't make sense spending money on.
The price of beef is wow.
These grocery store prices got me thinking Thanksgiving about to be spaghetti.
The way that groceries are grocerying, the way that gas prices are gassing.
$3.50 a gallon? Bruh.
I don't know if I'll be able to survive this.
A GOP pollster, an actual Republican insider, is sounding the alarm, saying everything's falling apart as Trump's numbers start tanking.
Yeah, my thoughts are the Republicans are going to lose because they don't understand politics. They're still playing yesterday's political game, which is a game about basically two warring ideological sides locked in a complete stalemate. And it's not like that anymore. And the polling tells us this. Like, everybody thinks that today's children will be worse off than their parents. The numbers are just absolutely abysmal. So something like the music finally stopped is basically where we're at. And you have the Republican Party that's just like, well, they'll be fine just voting for us because nobody likes socialism. Well, we're getting to the point where people are considering socialism.
And every Republican knows exactly why. Trump inflation, Trump chaos, Trump corruption, Trump fatigue. The bill has come due. And you can feel the panic on all of them. You can smell it within the GOP. And the emergency meeting with his cabinet after some Epstein emails were released, well, that proves it. Because they tied themselves to a man who thought Sharpies could change the path of a hurricane, who asked if the Purple Heart came with cash inside, who tried to overthrow his own government, and who now is dragging their poll numbers down like an anchor tied around their ankles.
Donald Trump had the perfect platform. He was given the biggest mandate the Republican Party's ever going to have. All he had to do was come in and literally just reform government and smash the oligarchy. And he's not gonna.
GOP strategists are admitting that Trump is driving Republican support into the floor. And the new polling analysis, it's brutal. That revolt haunting the GOP, it's real. Because Trump's inflation rhetoric, the same nonsense he peddles at rallies, is now backfiring. Voters are blaming him, not Biden. His numbers are collapsing to Biden's level because the MAGA fantasy economy never existed. And here's the part that the MAGA cult doesn't want to admit. They did this to themselves. They let Trump define them. They let Trump speak for them. They let Trump hijack the party, wipe his feet on the Constitution, and treat democracy like one of his unpaid contractors. Now the base is fracturing. Independents are running, and the rest of the country is saying, we've seen this movie. No thanks. This isn't just a bad time for Republicans. It's the beginning of the reckoning.
But clearly some of them, I think, just expected more out of a Republican Party and are not excited to go to the polls. Democrats are excited to go vote because they hate Trump, and that motivates them. On the right, unfortunately, what motivates them is smashing the oligarchy and burning the government down. And the right is not doing that, and so the left's going to get a chance. The pendulum's going to swing back, and this might be the last chance. I don't know. We got 355 days to an election, and the Republicans are going to lose this one.
The pollster is absolutely correct. Everything is falling apart. And the GOP can't blame anybody else. Not Biden, not the media, not the deep state. This is the consequence of worshiping a man who can't spell consequence. They lived by Donald. Now they're going to suffer by Donald. That is absolute pure insanity. And that's the real story here. It's not just poll numbers sliding into the toilet or GOP strategists finally admitting the ship is sinking. It's the country, real people hitting their breaking point. America is sick and tired of the hate. Tired of the homophobia, tired of the transphobia, tired of the xenophobia, sick and friggin' tired of the nonstop anger, the cruelty, the chaos, and the toxic energy it takes to keep this whole ball of dysfunction rolling. People are exhausted. They've stretched thin. They're working 2 jobs and still feel like they're drowning. And while Trump is out here chasing revenge fantasies and tearing down fake enemies, the rest of the country is begging for something simple. A life that doesn't feel like a fight every single day. And if you really want to know just how fed up people are, take a look around. You don't need another poll or another pundit. You can see it happening in real time. The MAGA mentality is deficient. These folks are lost in the sauce. Think about it. The people still following Trump are the ones he bragged about loving because they're undereducated. And he relates to them on a 3rd grade level. That's not an insult. That's what he said. That's why they cling to him. They're not educated. That's what the Trumpaloon movement is. And right now, they're hitting the wall. They're either too stubborn to admit that they were wrong, or they're slipping into hiding because the consequences of their choices are staring them in the face. That's why when you look at the long lines stretching out from the food banks all over the country, you don't see the red hats anymore. Because deep down, they know. They know wearing a MAGA hat in a food line is like holding up a sign that says, "My stupidity helped put us here." And that's exactly why they are where they are. Pure, unfiltered stupidity. And the other part of this story, the part nobody, the GOP, the GOP wants to talk about, is mortgages today practically mean paying for your house for the rest of your life. If you die before it's paid off, your family is the one left holding the bag. The same goes for retirement. Everyone deserves the right to work 20 years and actually retire, not grind until their last breath. But look at what's happening now. Talk of 50-year mortgages, 15-year car leases, debt that stretches on forever. If you got a 50-year mortgage and a 15-year car lease stacked on top of today's grocery prices and gas prices, you are never going to get out from under that stress. And while Scott Bessent is out here acting like Americans are just overreacting, like people are exaggerating their pain or simply don't understand how wonderful the economic plan supposedly is, that attitude is exactly the problem. It's the same condescending mindset we see all through the Trump administration. If you're hurting, it must be your fault. If you can't afford groceries, you must be confused. If you say the economy is crushing you, well, you must not get it. But Americans do get it. They get it perfectly. They're not misreading anything, they're living it. And the Ari Melber panel made that crystal clear. And this is where the real sickness shows itself. Because while these cabinet members, who we all know are completely unqualified, get up on TV and talk down to the American people like we're imagining our own suffering, it's just unreal. Because there are real voices out there crying out. Everyday people who matter. People who are supposed to be the heartbeat of this country. The poor, the working class, the marginalized, all shouting the same thing. We can't breathe out here in this huddled mass of inhumanity that the Trump administration is unleashing on all of us. But somehow their voices never make it into the rooms where the decisions are being made. And there are so many Trump faithful out there who don't know the difference between indicted and indoctrinated. People with third grade educations, anger issues, codependency issues, all kinds of problems on top of failing high school and living in squalor while sending all their money to these billionaires. Clowns like Scott Bessent walk around convinced that they're some kind of genius. But look at the real picture. What he's selling is a scam. There are millions of people struggling to pay rent, struggling to feed their kids, struggling just to make it through life. That's why people are out in these No Kings rallies across this country. This last election felt like a breath of hope. Like maybe we actually had a say. Like maybe we could still make a difference. And now, with the swearing in of Adelita Gorjalva and all of these emails and revelations coming out, maybe there really is hope to flip this thing in the midterms, to win the presidency in 2028 and erase this damn orange stain that's been on this place in history like a wart on the ass of America. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.